Okay, in this session, we're going to continue talking about the nature of truth because let's face it, that issue about what is true is dependent upon what we mean by the word true. Now, in the last session, we talked about the difference between objective and subjective truth claims. I want to just offer in this session 3 lies that are often told about the truth to young people, to people in the culture, and that's why we're where we are when it comes to truth claims. The first is that there is really no objective truth at all. Everything's a matter of subjective opinion. Even when they talked about someone like Einstein, they'll say, even Einstein didn't believe in objective, which is not true. Yeah, he's doing science. He believed in objective truth. But they'll take a statement like this, truth is what stands the test of experience. And they'll say, well, yeah, but my experience is different than yours. My lived experience, you start to hear that expression a lot these days, is different than yours. My truth is different than yours. Okay, here's what I think is the penultimate subjective claim related to truth. Here it is. Believe nothing just because a so-called wise person said it. And believe nothing just because a belief is generally held. And believe nothing just because it's said in some ridiculous ancient book like your Bible. Believe nothing just because it's said to be of divine origin, right? Believe nothing just because someone else believes it. Instead, believe only what you test yourself and judge to be true. You're the barometer. You are the determiner of what's true. Okay, this is the penultimate statement of subjectivism. And who do you think made this? Buddha made it. And how do we know that Buddha made it? Because it's in an ancient book of allegedly divine origin believed by millions of people. Do you get the problem here? In order for me to believe this statement, I have to reject this statement because it turns out what this statement tells me undermines the fact I could ever believe it. This is called a self-refuting truth claim. It cannot stand on its own, but it's also called a suicide claim. It commits suicide. Why? Because if someone says to you, well, there's no objective truth, the first thing you're going to ask, is that objectively true? Because if it's objectively true that there's no objective truth, then it cannot be then there's got to be, you see the problem? If there's no objective truth, then the claim that there's no objective truth is not objectively true. It's just a matter of opinion. So that can't be true either. There's the nature of truth for you. And let me give you a couple of other self-refuting claims so you can start to see that. By the way, this is a skill set. If you're just in conversation with people and you just develop this one skill set, looking for self-refuting claims, you will be amazed at what you discover. And it'll help you to navigate these conversations so much better. Here is a self-refuting claim. You see it? Yeah, this is another one of my more popular ones. I think this is a great sign, I think. Can you imagine? Dry Creek Water Park. It seems to be self-refuting. These are kinds of claims that basically shoot themselves in the face. You would expect that from a homicide detective. Let me give you the second lie said about the truth. Okay, even if there is objective truth, you can't really know it with any certainty. It can't be known. And there's the problem. And you arrogant people who think you know something about God, for example, or you know something about truth, it's just arrogant. And it's oppressive because truth can't really be known to any degree of certainty. And you'll hear this in the mouths of classic atheists as well. Believe those who are seeking the truth, but doubt those who say they find it because those people are crazy, right? Oh, this is my favorite right here from Molly Ivins. I believe that ignorance is the root of all evil and that no one knows the truth. Do you see the problem here? If no one knows the truth, she's also ignorant of the truth, but ignorance is the root of all evil. Do you see what it just doesn't make any sense? Look, if someone said to you that the truth cannot be known, you simply have to ask the question, can I know that? Can I know that the truth can't be known? Because it sounds like you're telling me there's the one truth I can know, that the truth can't be known. But if I can't know the truth, then that truth can't be known. This is self-refuting. If you just learn to look for self-refuting statements, you'll spot all kinds of problems with people who make truth claims. And it'll help you to share what is true if you can overcome what isn't. So here's another self-refuting claim. This is my favorite, though, coming up. And I'll just throw it out and see if you can spot it. Some of you will get this tomorrow. But until then, if you're illiterate, you cannot read. So I can't write either. And I can't write for help if I'm illiterate. Anyway, this is the kind of claim that basically puts you on the wrong side of the saw. Let me give you the third lie told about the truth. And this is the lie that we often see in culture related to tolerance, the term tolerance. What do we even mean by tolerance? Well, right now, it appears that tolerance in the part of how the culture sees it is this idea that everyone accept everyone else's view as being equally meritorious. If you don't accept that my view is equally as meritorious as your view, as equally valid as your view, then you're being intolerant. That is not the classical definition of intolerance. And in fact, this view of tolerance is self-defeating. It's self-refuting. Think of it this way. He's basically saying that I have to accept all views as equally true. But if I said to him, well, I have a different view. My view is that all views are not equally true. Well, I know you can't. Can you accept that view? But under your view of tolerance, you must accept my view. But see, that's the problem. My view is just the opposite of your view. And you have to reject at least one view, but your view of tolerance does not allow you to reject one view without being considered intolerant. Do you see the problem with this? It's not practically available to us because you'd have to violate your own rules in order to affirm those rules. And that's the nature of self-refuting claims. Like tolerance requires what I call the 3 Ds, okay? Tolerance requires the 3 Ds because it's really about a fair, objective, and permissive attitude toward those people who are different, maybe on their innate characteristics of race, religion, or nationality, but they hold a differing view. So in other words, the first D you have to have in order to express tolerance is a disagreement. You don't tolerate people with whom you agree. So if you think that agreement is the foundation of tolerance, you're crazy. You just remove the need for tolerance. You basically will eliminate all tolerance if you think everyone has to agree. It's under disagreements that we tolerate each other. So don't surrender the disagreement. Second D you need is you need some differentiation. Be careful enough to understand what differentiates your view from theirs, and do not surrender the difference. You need a disagreement about a difference in order to be tolerant. And finally, you need to not be a jerk. It's about demeanor. And what I mean by that is that you simply look. I tell people all the time, you are free to hate. Jesus hated. God hates. God hates evil. So you should hate evil too. So we are free to hate bad ideas. We are simply not free to hate people who hold bad ideas. We're called to love those people and to tolerate them and to share the gospel with them. But we got to hold on to our hatred of bad, evil ideas that are ungodly. We can hate those, but we cannot hate the people who hold them. And that basically is the challenge, right? Is that we're going to reach people with the gospel. And a lot of what we're going to be saying, they already have a notion in their head that, oh, these Christians, they believe this, 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 and this. A lot of times they've already attached us to politics. And they think, oh, I think a lot of young people would say, hey, if I have to vote that way in order to believe this, I'm out. We have to make sure we make the main things the main things. The gospel is the main thing. But recognize the fact that you're up against a culture that's changing so dramatically that it's no longer an issue of do they disagree with the historicity of Jesus as much as it is, I disagree with the goodness of the Christian worldview. If I have to reject what the culture says is good, wow. So you better be ready to be able to make some distinctions, to be able to love people even though you may not like their views, and to be able to answer their questions about those views. That's going to be part of the project to share the gospel going forward. So I want you to be aware of 2 things. Number 1, the distinction between objective and subjective, and now those 3 lies about the truth. See you in the next session.